This is Conspiracies Unlocked. We are gonna do Quiet on Set. This will be our third part, covering episodes 4, and hopefully we have time for episode 5. And that is the entirety of the documentary once we get through these 2 episodes.
So there's 5 total.
5 total, yep. And I just finished watching them last night. And episode 4 is a lot about Jennette McCurdy, who was on Sam and Cat, playing either Sam or Cat. I think maybe she was Cat.
She was Cat.
Because, Sam was Ariana Grande.
Ariana Grande.
I was a 90s Nick kid, not a 2000s Nick kid. Because they were all coming out in 2000s. So I was too old for that. Anyways, so the episode starts off with how just they kind of go over everything. Dan Schneider is just very inappropriate at work. And there's a costumer that came on that wanted to be, like, anonymous. So you only saw her, like, neck down. But, I mean, okay, I'm sure that whoever she wanted to be anonymous for would recognize her voice. Because it was her voice. It wasn't like when you're on Cops or, the old TV show Cops.
And they
blur it out. And then they're like, and like their voice is all like, blah, blah, blah.
They change the
they
voice
change everything.
to like a woman if you're a man, or a man
like,
or
a robotic or whatever.
Yeah.
None of that. So whoever she's trying to hide from, whether it's Dan Schneider or anybody on set, I mean, there's only so many costumers on set. And you can see her hands and just her neck down.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. But anyway, so the costumer, and I keep like wanting to say consumer or customer, because costumer, it literally is customer almost.
Oh, yeah, it looks like.
Yeah,
I can see
that. So the costumer on all of these shows, Zoe 101, Sam and Cat, various Nickelodeon, Amanda Bynes show I think she was on. She's on various different shows. Or just costume designer.
You could say stylist.
They said costumer.
Oh, okay. I didn't know the difference.
It's not my word. I would have said the stylist or designer or costume design. Mm-hmm. Costume design team, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So she said that while she was there, someone, and it was always a girl, and it would always usually be from the costume design wardrobe. That is the correct name for the costumer. Anyways.
Because that's where you get
your
clothing from.
Wardrobe. You know what? Costumer is easier to say. So moving forward. So the costumer was saying that that there was always a girl that had to give Dan a massage. And it was usually from the costume department. So he would text them and be like, hey, come here, I need a massage. And then there's like video and pictures of like girls giving him massages while he's like on set, which is wildly inappropriate. But they always had the clothes on. They're in front of a billion people. And Brad was like, I wouldn't want a guy massaging me. Because I watched this with Brad.
But there's nothing wrong with getting a massage. There's nothing wrong with like a masseuse coming hired on to work for the team in between. But this is the question. Is it one of the minor child actors, or is it a woman?
It's a woman.
That is her profession, is a masseuse.
No, she's a costume.
She's a
costumer. Wardrobe. This is going to be a fun day of words, I can tell.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, but she was not one of the children actors.
And Brad had said, he's like, that's just his way of, asserting dominance and just trying to be like, I'm the king here, and I can do what I want.
Yeah, and if I want a massage right now, I'm going to get it. It's a power trip.
So 20 years later, through the Me Too movement, all of a sudden it became sexual harassment. They didn't feel that way at the time. They felt the way, and I'm not trying to victim blame, and I'm not trying to downplay any of it. It's just that they all did it then, right? So what's the deal now? Well, we'll get into that. So Nickelodeon should have stopped all this weird shit. Not even just with the massages, but just him belittling him, just any weird shit that's going on. Nickelodeon should have done something from the get-go. I mean, he's been working for Nickelodeon, creating shows since 92?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they have seen at this point.
And this is 20 years into it, and now they're 20 years of of this like horrible behavior that everybody suffered through, and nothing is being done. Well, they didn't want to stop him because he was the golden boy. And everybody knew what he was doing. From California to New York, everybody knew it. And nobody felt like they could stand up and talk to him about it or tell him to stop or anything, because if you were in bad with him, then you wouldn't get jobs. He would just cut you out.
So they had studios in New York also.
I guess. I don't know. They literally said everyone from California to New York.
Yeah, but just the industry, like
just the industry, maybe
because there's Broadway and stuff in New York.
Yeah,
and they're all
maybe
connected.
That's all it is. I don't know, but that's what they said. That's what the documentary said.
Yeah, no.
So Q, Jeanette McCurdy from Sam and Cat, Cat from Sam and Cat. She came out. So how they start her coming into the episode is that they were talking about Dan Schneider getting the 2014 MTV Kid Choice Awards Legacy Award.
Oh, that's right. Wasn't he the first, you said?
I think he was the first. Yeah, we went over that last episode. And everybody, so the whole stage was filled with like 20 kids. Ariana Grande, Drake and Josh, like all the kids, Kenan Kel, like just, actually I don't know if I actually saw them, but just like a whole bunch of the kids, especially the kids that were on air in 2014, right?
Sure.
So just all the kids came up to present him the award because he created these kids, right?
That girl from iCarly too.
Yes.
What's her name?
Miranda
Cosgrove?
Yes.
Or something like that.
And I only know her because I liked her on a different show. On Drake and Josh, I liked Drake and Josh. I watched a few of those. But she was the little sister on that one, and she was in Yours, Mine, and Ours with Drake Bell.
What about the one, what's the girl's name?
Emily Osment.
No.
I love her too. And she's on Hannah Montana.
The one where she played a nanny. It was a girl, oh gosh, never mind, I can't remember her name, but I used to like watching that show with Joey.
Oh.
She was like the nanny and, not the nanny, the nanny, but it was a girl that played a nanny on the show.
Oh, what show?
I can't remember the name. Never mind. I shouldn't have mentioned it because I can't remember. I thought I had
now it's bothering me. What did she look like?
She's real cute.
Well, that's interesting.
Aren't they all on the yeah, they're all cute when they're little.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Well,
I lost it.
All right.
I lost it. I totally fumbled that.
So, anyways, back to not VMAs, the Kids' Choice Awards. The stage was full with all these Nick kids that were on air. Jeanette McCurdy was on air. Sam and Cat was like full on doing their thing at that time. But Jeanette McCurdy was not there to support Dan Schneider. Why, you may ask? Just something people observed.
Have you read her book?
I was just about to say, she came out with her memoir, and I have not. It's called I'm Glad My Mom Died, and the first time that I saw it was in an airport, and I was like, who the fuck is this bitch? Because I don't, sorry, Jeanette, I'm not trying to say you're a bitch, but I had no idea who she was.
Who is this girl?
I didn't even know who she was, and I was like, is that like me writing a book saying something, like, who's glad their mom died? Like, what is going on? Did you read the book?
My daughter Isla read the book, and she said it was a really good book. But I didn't get into it with her. She said it was, I believe she said it was sad. Like, it was really
Well, yeah,
sad.
because of going through all this, I've learned who Jeanette McCurdy is, and her mom was just a very like stage mom, and would make her do things and do things that they don't need to like do. You know, like push her further. Didn't give a fuck. Just she's a cash cow for her family and stuff. So, which is so sad that happened. So anyways, in her book, she wrote about an unnamed creator of shows and accused him of doing a lot of things, but she didn't say who. So people are guessing it's Dan Schneider, but obviously
she didn't name anyone?
No. Just people believe it's Dan Schneider, and she's never confirmed it or anything. And in her book, the quote from her book says, I feel like the creator has two distinct sides. One is generous and over-the-top complimentary. The other side is mean-spirited, controlling, and terrifying. And she felt abusive behavior from the producer, which there's only so many creators and producers of the shows that she was on, so kind of
process of elimination.
Yeah, you can kind of figure it out that it probably is Dan Schneider that she is talking about. And she says that he makes people feel worthless through through names like buffoon, stupid, idiots, dumb, sloppy, careless, spineless. Like, even if they make a minor mistake, it's like, he's angry and he's just like, you're fucking stupid. What the fuck is wrong with you? Even if it's something like stupid, like that you shouldn't blow up so much. So obvious anger issues, and nobody has stopped him, so he just keeps going with it. He's power hungry, or not hungry for power, but he's just given power and he's rolling with it.
Yeah.
And as he's snowballing into bigger and bigger and more powerful and more like, I can do what I want and nobody's saying shit. Yeah. So, Jeanette said that she couldn't go to that person. She didn't feel comfortable going to that person because the response would not be taken well, meaning that she wouldn't be able to work anymore probably, or it would get worse.
So was there anyone that, not only her, but any of the other children, because she wasn't the only one that felt that way. Obviously, there's multiple allegations. So who did they have that they could go to?
Brad had the same question, like, why don't you go to HR? Why don't you do this? Apparently, Dan's treatment of people on all of his shows, it was like an open secret. Everybody knew, and it was just the way it was, and nobody was going to do anything because he's making all these shows and very successful shows. Mm-hmm. You look at it now, and Dan Schneider's not part of Nickelodeon. Name one show that's on Nickelodeon right now.
Mm-hmm. So it was just pretty much like, suck it up, buttercup. Like,
yeah, I think so.
You want to be in this industry, you want to work for Dan and be on these hit shows, you want to be a star.
Yeah.
You have this is what it is.
Yeah. And I think we mentioned before that how even if they wanted to go to say anything to anybody, it's like everybody knew about it. Like, there's no... Yeah. There's just...
You know what? It's kind of reminding me of the UAPs with the pilots, where it's like everybody knows about it, but nobody talks about it, and there's a stigma. So it's like, who you're going to complain to? Everybody has the same complaint. Nobody else is complaining. Why are you the problem? I bet it made them feel like, oh, well, you can't handle it. Well, she can.
Yeah.
He can. And there was like a stigma against even speaking out.
Remember that, because that exact thing happens later with another actress. We talk about it in the episode 5.
Okay.
So
it just reminded me of the UAP stigma,
And you put that so perfect, because I couldn't figure out how to like make the words correct when I was like doing my notes, but that's like perfect how you said it. So remember what you said. Write it down or something. Write it down.
We'll just
you won't remember in an hour.
I'm just gonna write UAP stigma.
Yeah. Okay. Because so Jeanette's mom died while she was working on Sam and Cat, and remember, Jeanette's mom was also very abusive emotionally and such. So the problem is that because she didn't give a fuck that her mom died, she went straight back to work. She didn't really take any time off to grieve. She didn't take it like how we would take time off. We would do something. We would, anything. Yeah. And instead, she went right back to work. Because of this, and because of the open, ongoing, obvious abuse and emotional abuse from Dan Schneider, Nickelodeon did open an investigation on Sam and Cat.
Oh.
And because there was tension on the set, and Jeanette did come back too early, so they were worried that it was like, are you coming back too early because of the pressures that Dan Schneider's putting on you?
Oh, yeah.
So after the investigation ended, Dan was not allowed to interact with the cast anymore. However, he says that he just chose to like be in his office instead of doing that. But Dan has always been very hands-on, very in the mix of everything to make sure, because it's his show. He created it. He's the director. He's the producer. He's everything on the show. So he's always been very hands-on. And all I can say is that Dan Schneider has to be a fucking HR nightmare. Like, seriously. If you were HR for Nickelodeon, I would quit. Like, I'd just be like, never mind. I don't want to do this anymore. Just be a nightmare, like trying to go through all the people and everything. So Nickelodeon just didn't trust Dan to run the show in like a humane way.
Yeah.
But of course, Dan claims he was not barred from working with the actors, but chose to give notes from his office. That was his like quote. So,
I feel like, okay, I don't know much, or if anything really, about the role of an executive producer. I mean, especially a director, you have to be right there.
Yeah.
You have to be
How
hands-on.
How
are you going to direct?
Yeah.
Maybe from an executive producer perspective, you can step back a little bit and still fulfill your role.
But ultimately, you have to
be able to communicate with the actors, because
and be like and see what's going on in the camera and the frame, and you can't just give notes from a distance. It doesn't work.
But I think the producers also have to come up with funding and stuff too. Like they do other things than just what is on camera.
But I think he was the director as well. So he's not just the producer, he's the director. So he has to do all of it.
Then you would have to have like a co-director that can actually, he can tell
there.
them what to do, and the other,
So
like a chain of
they wouldn't, so being HR and being like Nickelodeon, they should have just gotten rid of this guy instead of keeping him on set to direct kids in an inhumane way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they pretty much made special allowances for him to stay on set but not be on set, so he could keep his job, right? Because he made too much money, so they could not get rid of him, and because the shows he created were gold.
Yeah, there wasn't a problem with the shows in that aspect. Yeah.
They were like they created shows that pretty much it funded Nickelodeon for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Hit all of his shows. He did all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't get rid of him. So in 2017, and this is 3 years after Dan is like banned from the set of Sam and Cat, Dan creates Henry Danger and Game Changers. At the same time, the Me Too movement happened.
That wasn't that long ago that started.
I know, it feels like it was so much more longer, but it feels like it was before President Trump took office, like during the all the debates and stuff. I feel like it happened before. I can't believe it happened in 2017, like a year after he was already in office.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem right. But anyways, so Me Too had a lot of actors, women, and pretty much everyone come out against Dan Schneider. And everyone just kind of came together and went to their agents, went to the union, the Screen Actors Guild Union, and was like, and they had said, oh yeah, we're already looking into this because we've had so many other complaints that just came out this year because of the Me Too movement against Dan Schneider.
I remember the Me Too movement, like rallies and...
it was so much.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So Nickelodeon does another investigation into Dan Schneider, and on March 26, 2018, Dan is fired.
Oh, he actually got fired.
Which was a huge shock for him and for a lot of people, just like you. And he issued a statement just saying, oh, I just need some time off. I'm working on other things, and blah, blah, blah,
Taking
blah,
a hiatus.
They did give him $7 million and like a big bang.
Like a severance package.
However, what's interesting is that the investigation found no evidence of inappropriate sexual behavior, inappropriate relations with children, but he was abusive to others in the workplace emotionally. So yeah, it's like he did get a plea deal of something like, here, take the $7 million and we'll just get rid of you because all these allegations and we're gonna get like banned or something, like the whole damn channel's about to get banned. So we gotta do something, right?
Yeah, and
that's kind of what it kind of was like here's your money, just leave for now because there's nothing like
makes sense.
Because the Me Too movement was so grand with their rallies and so like they would have burned the fucking place down if they could have, I'm sure.
And they had huge names that were coming forward too.
So after Dan left in 2018, there was a much happier place to work in, less stress, less massages, less yelling. But ultimately, what else was there? There's no more shows after that. Like, what's on Nickelodeon right now? It's cartoons.
I don't know, way aged out of Nickelodeon. My
My
children are way past Nickelodeon, and
let me see, let's do 2022. So 2 years ago, it's Yeah, Ninja Turtles and shit. There's no real shows.
There's got to be some shows with kids.
Big Nate, Star
Trek.
I was gonna say Star Trek, I think. Yeah, so I guess they redid Rugrats again. Middlemost Post.
Star Trek? That's...
Prodigy.
Yeah,
They must be coming out with a new Star Trek. That's cool. Cool. Okay, well anyways, that's new. We'll have to check that out just for fun.
Yeah.
Why not?
I'm interested in that one because it's sci-fi.
Yeah, I didn't like the first Star Treks. I never watched them.
The original?
Yeah.
I loved them.
I know everything about Star Trek that I know. I learned from Big Bang Theory.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. I used to watch Star Trek all the time with my dad and my family. Yeah.
I would walk away. So
I love it.
Anyway.
William Shatner.
So then they just the documentary kind of segued into a bunch of the children actors just saying how working on Nickelodeon, being a child actor, how it affected them. So Alexa Nicholas is from Zoe 101, and she felt like her self-worth was damaged after season 2. That she just was worthless because of the emotional abuse that Dan put on her.
That's really sad. That it affected them and her that much to where they felt so low.
Raquel Lee Ballou was on the Amanda Show, and she said that it broke her confidence when she got fired.
Oh, well, I mean, that makes sense. If you get fired, if I'm any job, that's gonna be an ego blow, and your confidence is gonna be like no
matter if you're 12 or you're 52.
Yeah.
So especially she probably took it harder because she was a child and didn't have the emotional maturity to handle what that meant and what that meant for her next. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, and she said that she learned everyone is replaceable, and it took her years to pick herself up from that. And it's like, well, everyone is replaceable.
Yeah,
and
that's something
that you need to learn. You learned a life lesson, honestly. That's not Dan's fault. That was being a human, right?
I don't fault him on that. No.
So, life lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leon Frierson was on All That. And he said being a child star hurt him emotionally and physically because he turned to alcohol because he was unable to reach that kind of success again. Once again, not Dan Schneider. That is just being how many children actors reach the fame of Ryan Gosling.
So he peaked at 12 and he never recovered?
Yes.
Okay.
Right? So
professionally.
That's not
Dan Schneider's fault, no.
Katrina Johnson, who was from All That. She was really excited for her next chapter in her life. Mm-hmm. She wanted to try college. She wanted to be normal, but she just felt like she couldn't be normal because she had this childhood that was not normal. Which I understand that because that's how all child actors, I'm sure, feel because you didn't have a normal childhood. So you were forced to either mature early or you didn't get to emotionally mature the right way, so you're now maturing. It's when they say that people who go to prison, if they go in at the age of 20, jail or whatever, if they go in at the age of 20 and they get out at the age of 32, they still have the mindset of being at the age of 20.
Or they're stuck in the year of when they went in because they don't know how it is out there now, so they're thinking the same type of.
So I'm wondering if that's what kind of happens with children actors. She wants to go to college and she's like, oh my gosh, I haven't gone to school since 6th, 7th grade. College is way different. I mean, high school is way different, and she missed high school.
But then you have Blossom. Wasn't that Nickelodeon or was that Disney? Remember Blossom?
Yeah, no, I think that was Disney, I'm sure.
She went to Harvard or something, and she's on The Big Bang Theory. Yeah, she's very successful, and she did. I don't know if it was Harvard, but she's very intelligent.
She has a PhD.
Yeah, she's very intelligent, and she's so it depends.
It depends on the personality of the people.
It depends because she was a child actor. She started very young, and she's very successful.
If you take a class of 100 graduates, high school graduates, it's probably going to be about the same odds as far as how many PhDs you get, how many this, how much of this. You know, it's all a numbers game.
Yeah.
And maybe it's worse for child actors, but ultimately, like, you're going to have your drug addicts. You're going to have, it's not just child actors who are drug addicts and alcoholics and feel nothing in their life and feel like they peaked in high school. No, a lot of people peak in high school and they're stuck in their hometown serving bars, thinking about or drinking at the local bars, talking about their glory days of high school parties and football, you know? And they didn't go to...
It's such a stereotype, but it's so true.
It's true.
It's like Napoleon Dynamite when the uncle's like throwing the football and he's like throwing the football and it's like...
I didn't watch that.
Oh my gosh!
I didn't watch that movie.
Napoleon Dynamite?
No, I couldn't. So.
I think it's so funny. I love that.
So, moving forward, Brian Hearn said that as a child actor, he just kids are a dollar sign. No one takes the kids' mental health seriously in that environment. They just want like perform, money. They don't worry
back
about
then.
Yeah,
because now I think there would be more.
There's probably
there's more awareness for mental health.
Yes, there is way more awareness.
Yeah,
and honestly, there's probably an on-site counselor.
Yeah,
on set.
I could see that.
Yeah. Giovanni Samuels had major self-esteem issues. And she was on all of that as well. And she struggled with beauty standards and just didn't feel accepted. And I'm like, dude, I felt that way and I wasn't a child actor. I mean, I know, of course, being on stage during your most awkward years has to be horrific. I'm so glad that I never got to do that. I really wanted to be like a model or something, and I'm so glad I didn't, because I would be the one with the drug addict issues and the alcoholism and all sorts of shit.
That's why I always
if I even survived it.
I always think I'm so glad that I had MySpace, but I was older. That social media was not what it is now when I was in high school, because I probably would have had some kind of eating disorder or something. I mean, I was pretty small when I was in high school, but I mean,
but still, like, your emotional well-being is definitely tried. Like, in high school, we had AOL Instant Messenger, and that was enough. Like, we had away messages that we could make all pretty and stuff like that, and like that was enough without even any pictures.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine. No way.
But I mean, I think even the adult actresses and actors struggle with that, because you see a lot of actors and actresses that are like not body shaming. Maybe this is just their body type, but they're just like, there's nothing to them. They're so tiny, and it's like, I don't know, eat a sandwich or something, like, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean it like, I'm concerned, like, you need more calories, like, to sustain life. You have to have a certain amount of, like, vitamins and nutrients, and you know what I mean? Like, you need to eat. You can't, like, be anorexic.
Once again, I think that what she's saying is not Dan Schneider's fault.
Not done. No.
No, that's just a teenage girl plus actor fault. Kyle Sullivan, from all that, said that he was that it was a toxic environment, and even though the abusers were getting arrested left and right, well, it was the two, Brian Peck and Jason Handy, but they got arrested within like a few months of each other. So even though people are being spotted out, like, on these sets, like on the same production company, on the same, set and everything, that the show just kept rolling. Like, it made him have serious trust issues with adults, because it was like, what the fuck? Like, people are literally being abused, people are being arrested, and we're just pretending like nothing is happening.
Yeah, I mean, there was actual, like, sexual abuse happening.
Yeah.
So if they came forward with that kind of information, I would be very sympathetic and very understanding. But these other things that they're saying, it's not.
It's just life being a child actor.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think. Drake then made his statement, and he said that he did get sober, then he went back to alcohol, trying to get rid of the demons. His demons were just hard to work through. He did a lot of self-destructive behavior. He ended up filing for bankruptcy at one point for $581,000 that he owed.
Taxes or something?
Yeah. Yeah. But Drake is different. And that's not even Dan Schneider's fault because he was said that Dan Schneider's the only one that was there for him, and he's blatantly come out and said no, like
that he didn't experience that kind of abuse with him.
Yeah. So kid stars like just don't make it out a lot, like don't make it out like good. You know, they obviously like Amanda Bynes and different people.
Well, the whole industry just uses them.
Yeah.
For whatever they want.
And the children, they just don't grow normally there, like emotionally normally, mentally stable normal, like any stability is not there. Most kids will get into drugs and alcohol, and they just can't get that to the like maturity that they need for the transition from the teen to adult. Whether it is within the filmmaking and within the actor world, or even if it's just in general, being a child actor to just an adult in the real world.
And it depends on your parent, because if you have that type of parent that is a stage mother who's going to push you like that, then it's going to harm you more than if somebody is just like, well, if you want that job, get it. If you don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's more like down to earth about it. But when they start seeing dollar signs, people change. Who knows if some of the parents started out just being like really, supportive, like in a different way, and then they started getting more, I can't think of the word, just
greedy,
aggressive, pushy. Yeah.
So a lot of these kids actors end up going to trauma therapy, grief therapy, and it seems to possibly help them. And I think that what their grief is that they are grieving their childhood that they did not get. You know, like, and that's something that I've always thought, that I think that when a lot of times when you see even normal, like not normal kids, but non-actor kids, when they go through something like their parents civilians, normal humans, not the ritzy ones, when a mom dies, or they're being sexually abused, or anything like that, where they have to grow up too fast, they have to take care of the little siblings because dad's an alcoholic, or whatever's going on. I feel like they have to grieve their childhood too, and that's part of their therapy as well, is because that's like a huge chunk of your life that you cannot ever get back, and it only happens for 20 years and you can never get it back. And if you don't have that, then it's like when you're older, you have to like grieve that because you can't get it back. Even if you want to go be a child again, you know, you will always, you as an adult, you'll always have responsibilities that a child just doesn't have. Shouldn't have.
That is true, yeah. And talking about like the different abuse that went on, the verbal abuse is really bad too. Like, I mean, the sexual abuse, of course, is like probably like the highest, like the worst. But the emotional and it is mental abuse.
Yeah, people don't realize how bad emotional abuse can really affect anybody, especially a child that's growing, because they are really figuring out who they are. And with emotional abuse, you are pretty much telling them that they are worthless, that they're a piece of shit. And they start believing it because you're supposed to be their parent, you're supposed to be their guardian, you're supposed to be their adult in their life. You know more than they do, supposedly, in their eyes. You're their hero, and you're telling them that they're a piece of shit and they're worthless. And now I feel bad. Now I have to go, like, tell my kids sorry for ever, like, putting them on timeout or anything.
Hug your kids.
Yeah, I feel like I need to go hug my kids. Oh, my God. Anyways, so the moral of this whole thing is that child actors, there needs to be something to be done so child actors are protected. And we see the kids who were protected, who had very active parents within the industry that weren't just looking for money but really rallied around their kids. Melissa Joan Hart, Hilary Duff, they made it out without becoming drug addicts, without getting DUIs, without you know, they transitioned into adult acting, singing, whatever Hilary sang and Melissa Joan Hart got more TV shows, and, you know, they all transitioned fine, and they're doing fine, and even Hilary Duff had a TV show a few years ago. So, like,
every time I see you say Hilary Duff, I just keep thinking about this trending, like, TikTok, and it's like, it's all POV, when Hilary Duff gave us Nothing But Everything, and it's like when she did her iconic dance to the song, oh God, I can't remember the song, but she's doing a performance and she's dancing, and it's just so, like, there's no energy, her face is like totally stone.
Really?
But
I haven't seen it. I love her.
But it's like perfect, and it's like, oh gosh, I'll find it and I'll post it because it's actually really cute.
Yeah,
so it's just funny.
Anyways, so that was like supposed to be like the end of the documentary. So the credits start to like roll, and you see Dad and Drake walking with each other, with Drake's dad holding him by like the shoulder, you know, his arm around his shoulder, walking away. Aww. And it just like gave me chills, just because the dad was just so upset with everything that happened with Drake and stuff, and like Dad's like super emotional, and
that's his baby boy.
Yeah,
I mean, like, obviously he's not a baby, but
he tried to protect him, and you know, failed. I mean, he didn't fail, but the people around Drake really failed. But anyways, so that was supposed to be the end of the whole documentary, 4 episodes, done, right? Well, now here comes episode 5. Okay. And all of a sudden it just starts with news reports, news outlets, YouTube videos, TikTok videos of people's reactions, influencers to the documentary.
Sure. Yeah.
And newspapers and stuff, and just everything about the documentary. And I'm like, fuck, that happened really quick. Because this episode came out like a week ago, and the whole documentary came out like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, people binge watched that in like one day.
Yeah, but they threw this whole next episode together like that. And this episode was just about everybody's reaction, and even like the All That stars that came on to like do interviews, their reaction to it, Drake's reaction to like the public's reaction, like their reaction to the public's reaction.
Oh wow! And I love when people do like reaction videos.
Yeah, it's a reaction to the reaction of the reaction.
It's a lot of reacting.
And we're doing a reaction to the reaction of the reaction.
You know, this is like, I feel like it's like a dominoes game.
Yeah, we're like, it's like almost like we're like in the, not Matrix, but like in.
We're in the web.
We're in something. I don't know.
We're literally
in the web. So the way this episode is, it's more like a Dateline episode. There's an interviewer. It's almost like when you watch reality shows, and then at the end, like they do their like finale episode, and then they just like talk like, how did you feel when this person happened with this?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, like that.
The conclusion.
So, the conclusion episode. So that was kind of what was happening. Soledad O'Brien was the interviewer host that was asking questions. So she starts just talking to Drake Bell. And of course, when you watch Dateline 2020, they're like very like on it. Like they just get straight to it. So she's like, why did you want to participate after all these years of being quiet? And Drake's response was that the documentary series made him feel like really comfortable, like the producers and stuff and the creators, and that he felt like he was finally ready to put this behind him and face it and everything.
Yeah.
Number 2, she asked about how did it feel when you walked into the courtroom with Brian Peck and you saw all the other side with all the actors, all the famous people, and all that was sitting there was you, your brother, your mom, and that was it.
Oh, in support
of him, yeah.
If I was him, I would feel betrayed.
Yeah. And then she goes on to say that Ryder Strong and Will Friedle's responded on their podcast, Pod Meets World.
Yes.
And how they were just like, oh my gosh, if I had known, I wouldn't have done that. Or even once I heard, they showed a clip of Will Friedle saying, as soon as I heard the mom say Drake's mom say to Brian Peck, you have all these people, all this money, you have all Hollywood supporting you, but no matter what you did to my son, this won't fix any of that, because you know what you did.
Yeah.
And Will Friedle said, well, at that point, I realized I was on the wrong side of this. Mm-hmm. And so then Brad's response to that was, why didn't you fucking get up and move sides? That's what Brad said when he was watching it with me. My husband, Brad, yeah.
The thing, too, in the courtroom is I don't think you're really supposed to get up and walk around unless the judge, is standing. You're
whatever.
Not supposed to
get up and walk outside. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, so what I didn't know was that Drake had said, I worked with Will Friedle on Spider-Man. I didn't even know that Drake was in Spider-Man. I have no idea.
Which Spider-Man? There's so many. There's so many Spider-Man.
You know what? Will Friedle does a lot of voice work, so I bet that it was a
multiverse,
a cartoon or something, like a cartoon.
Maybe it was a multiverse one.
Maybe. So, anyways, he could have talked to Drake, and he could have, this is what Drake said, that he could have talked to him then. He could have come forward. He could have said at that point, hey, I'm sorry, I was on the wrong side of that shit. My bad. How are you doing? Anything. But Drake also said it's a touchy subject. What are you going to do? Just bring up shit that happened 20 years ago and be like, hey, sorry, you got fucked like that in so many different ways by me and by Brian Peck, physically and me emotionally, and my bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But meanwhile, what was interesting is that Drake said that out of all 41 people who did write letters on Brian Peck's behalf, nobody, not one, has reached out to Drake.
Not one?
Not one.
Out of 41?
Out of 41 people, not one.
Maybe they're embarrassed.
And they were, at this point, everything's out in the open, and the producers of the documentary had to go out and petition to get the letters from the court. To release the letters from the court to find out who wrote them.
Oh, it wasn't public. It wasn't
public information until the documentary came out.
Oh.
Yeah. So
I thought that all the court documents are public.
No, not for a minor. It's a minor.
That's true. Yeah, sealed.
So then she goes on. Sorry. She asked about a bigger scandal. That's why I'm like, bigger scandal? I don't know what the bigger scandal is. I'm like, why am I saying any of
your
this?
Notes.
I did.
Your notes.
Oh, that's what. Okay, so she asked about why wasn't this why wasn't this on media? Why didn't I hear about this when it was going down? What's happening? And Drake's like, I don't fucking know. It boggles. He's all boggles my fucking mind that Jason Handy and Brian Peck were both arrested within a few months from the same network, the same TV show, same everything, and no news coverage, nothing. He was like, I think I saw a small little article in a newspaper about Brian Peck, and that was it. But Jason Handy, nothing. You would think that they would have blown it up then to be like, 2 people have been arrested off of Nickelodeon.
Yeah, why were they hushing? It was hush.
Yeah, and that is why that other kid actor was like, it's like people are being arrested left and right, and we're just show must go on.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
It is weird.
Especially from the same show. So you have 2 child predators on the same show.
Especially when you have shows like TMZ and things that are more gossipy, that it's that's right up their alley, that they're going to want to spill the tea.
TMZ wasn't there during that time.
Well, I mean, or whomever.
It would have to be American Journal or E.
E, yeah, for sure. They were always gossiping. Yeah. Or what about, what's his name? Perez Hilton.
Perez Hilton wasn't there around that time. He wasn't there yet.
Really? What year are we talking?
2001, 2, 3, 2003 at the latest.
3,
yeah. Yeah, Perez Hilton.
Perez Hilton had a website, though.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure back then.
Oh, I was a junior then. He didn't have anything then. Paris Hilton didn't come out with the Simple Life until the year after I graduated out of high school, 2005. And Perez Hilton became Perez Hilton because of Paris Hilton's name.
No, Perez Hilton already.
Really?
He already had his own thing going, because when I lived in Ocean Beach, I remember he had a website, and that was before Finley was born.
When was Finley born?
Well, 2007. No, but wait. Let's look it up now.
Well, I don't think Perez Hilton is his real name, is it? Yeah, no, his real name is Mario Armando Lava.
But that's his. When did he start?
I'm trying to figure out blogging career. He started. There is absolutely in blogging success July 2010. Oh, 2007.
Okay, so
2006. Pop singer Fergie talked about him 2006. 2005 is like the earliest so far. So yeah.
So, because I know it was before Finley was born that I remember hearing about him because my sister told me about
2004, him. 2004, then 206-pound Perez Hilton, appeared as a contestant on the Madonna Style episode. So no, he still wasn't Perez Hilton. He didn't start doing. Look, he appeared in music videos. So he was already like kind of famous by himself. But he didn't start doing his own Perez show until later. He even guest starred as himself on Victorious.
He was
in
on
2010.
Victorious.
Yeah.
I wonder if he has anything to say about this. He would have worked with Dan Schneider.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
The plot thickens.
Yeah.
Why are you silent, Perez Hilton?
Perez, what do you know? Yeah.
So if it was like 2005, 6, maybe.
So his blog, it doesn't say when his blog actually started. So weird.
Early 2000.
Yeah, but I don't think it started until after like 2005, 6. So anyway, so this was before.
Okay.
So all the gossipy stuff wasn't going until
you had Inquirer, Star Magazine, like all the little mags.
Yeah. So anyways, back to this. So then the interviewer asks, so Dan Schneider asked Drake, so Dan Schneider was painted as a bad guy, like how yet you supported him.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about what was said about Dan on the documentary?
Yeah.
And he was just like, it's very hard to watch. He was the only one that supported me. And he can only speak from his own experience, and he's not like invalidating what everybody else is saying.
Sure,
but
yeah.
he didn't see any of that. Like, he didn't see any of it. And that's like, he had his own show with Dan, so that's kind of like really telling, you know? Like, I don't know. So then they ask, how are you dealing with your trauma? And Drake says that he had many years of not wanting to talk, not even in therapy. He started to really spiral in life, and then he finally went to rehab, and he literally had therapy from like 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., like 12, 14 hours of like, you know how that is. Well, I don't know if you know how that is, but when you go to places like that, you have like therapy of like group therapy, individual therapy, all these different types of therapies and different like things. And in group therapy, that's what really helped him, because he realized he wasn't alone, that there was other, not just actors that went through this, but other people as well, like that he could finally talk and people understood him and kind of knew where he was coming from. He felt like he wasn't alone for once.
Yeah.
So he realized that his DUI, that while he did, it was his decision to get a DUI, he realized that the reason, like, that it goes deeper than that, and that Brian Peck, that whole situation and the assault and all that is what led him to get to that place in his life, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
But he's like, he's taking...
For what happened to him was like a huge thing.
He's taking accountability for it, but now he's able to find the root cause of like why his life spiraled and what is going on, so he can fix it. And I think that doing this, I personally think doing this documentary really was one of those healing processes for him. Kind of like the last thing after he's gone through therapy, all these years of all of this, 20 years of just figuring it out. I think that this probably was like, you know, getting the cast off, you know, or like ripping the Band-Aid off, just the last little bit, like the scab has come off. We're all done. We're healed. We're good. So, and then he asked he was asked how his relationship with his parents were, and he said that since the documentary, him and his dad have had like a fantastic relationship.
Oh, that's good.
And he said that they actually started recording the documentary like a year or two ago. So yeah. So and he said that it's just like all better now. They're great. And mom always had an incredible relationship the whole time. And Jake said that there were a lot of people going after mom, like we were in the last episode. Like, what the fuck? Why did mom allow him to be near Brian Peck?
Why was he alone? Why was he staying there on the couch?
When Brad specifically stated, do not let him around Brian Peck. And then she's like, here, Brian Peck, have my child.
Yeah, have fun, guys.
Yeah. So he said that mom, since the documentary, that his mom has just been like put through the ringer pretty much. And he said that
she probably already put herself through the ringer.
Yeah, and he said that Brian was a very calculated, and he really gained everyone's trust, including his mom's trust, and was like very sneaky, stealthy. He's a sweet talker. He's just those type of people. They ingrain themselves into these kids' lives, and they make friends with the parents. They make friends with everybody, and they make it to where they can be alone with the children, and everybody feels safe about it. And that's exactly what he did.
Oh, well, that's what they say about like serial killers too. Like a lot of them are really like charismatic.
Yeah.
And very like you get drawn to them almost like in a sense, and then they obviously you don't know the danger that's there, but that's with any like a predator. I mean, serial killer is really extreme, but like
yeah,
I've seen that in other like crime documentaries.
Me too.
Stuff.
Yeah, all of them are like that. Anybody that's really bad is like that.
Yeah.
So Josh, they asked what Josh's reaction, because I know that social media has kind of been like, "What the fuck, Josh? Where's your response to all this? Like, you were his best friend. You were on the show with him. What's your response?" And Drake said that they've been talking. Like Josh and Drake have always been close. Josh reached out. Like, there's no. Like, the internet's just freaking out.
There's no bad blood between them.
There's nothing bad. They're friends. Everything's great. But, like, Josh doesn't need to make a statement about Drake. That'd be like me making a statement about you. Of something that happened to you. Why would I go on my personal thing that I had nothing to do with other than, you know, than I was your friend at the time, and make a public statement about your life? Like, that'd be fucking weird, dude.
Yeah, or what if they had a private conversation where he's like, "Hey, I'm not going to comment on this. Are you cool with that?"
No, they probably did.
Yeah, why would I wouldn't expect you to be like, "Hey, guys, by the way."
Oh, yeah, then it would turn into, oh, Josh is trying to make it about himself or some shit, you know? It's fucking weird, dude. So anyways.
Plus, they probably have their own private thing that is like, "Hey, I'm here for you if you need anything, you know, like if you let me know, I'm here for you." But you're not going to go publicly and say, I'm here for him.
Yeah, like,
I'm
what
here
are you
for
doing?
her.
Yeah.
No, that's a private thing.
That's the people who are trying to get, like, attention.
They're just trying to get clout or something.
Yeah, get sympathy for their friend or something. I don't know, sympathy for them, for themselves about their friend. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anyways, so he said that it was super therapeutic at the time to go through this documentary, and that music and writing songs is really just like his diary and journal. And after he did the documentary, songs came like pouring out, and he just released a new song, and it was called "I Kind of Relate." And he came out with the video, and they did a scene, like not a scene, but they showed a scene of the music video, and it shows supposed to be Drake as a little boy going into a dressing room with some guy, and then closing the thing. Like, it's fucking crazy.
Oh, how sad.
And I'm like, oh my god. So he was addressing the abuse in the song and the video, like, and it's clearly, it's crazy.
That's really sad.
We'll have to watch that in a second. So then, Giovanni Samuels and Brian Hearn, which are both on All That, they reunited from the documentary, and both had to, like, step away from social media because it was just...
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, they're just not used to it, and all of a sudden, like, they've been out of the spotlight for 20-something years, and all of a sudden they're just, like, bombarded. And Dan Schneider came out with an apology video saying that if he had known what he was doing was causing any harm, he would have stopped. He wouldn't have done any of that. And then he said that all the kids were super, like, safe, and if they didn't feel comfortable, then they could have said something. But he said, like, all the dares and all the silliness, like, they were all safe. There's people around. Everybody was along with it, along for the ride. And I think that Dan kind of got, like, took the fall for all this shit when it just actors being kid actors. And I mean, yeah, there's some weird shit that he did that is HR inappropriate, and then you add in some kids that are running around too, so it becomes highly inappropriate. But I think he took the fall for a lot of this. That he was like the fall guy. They had to blame somebody. They had to place blame on somebody, and that seems to be where it led.
I can see.
Because there's a lot of other people that that could take part blame, like Brian Peck, like Jason Handy, like the fucking Nickelodeon executive people that
actually sexually abused the children are the real predators here. Dan Schneider's kind of like a weird, like he's kind of weird though. It is kind of weird. It's kind of creepy. It's creepy
for sure.
But if he never actually sexually abused anyone, and making inappropriate jokes, I don't know if that's illegal to make inappropriate jokes towards children. I think it is like a lewd act, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, the whole point is that he was a scapegoat to an extent because he wasn't the final say. It had to go through all of these different channels, and they have to sign off on stuff. They have to go through read-throughs. They have to go through practices. They have to rewrite jokes. They have to cut jokes, make new jokes. Like, it's not just him.
Yeah,
So where's all the other people that are supposed to be held accountable for these jokes?
That's why they gave him $7 million and bye.
Yeah, because it wasn't just him.
Yeah, so the host asked Giovanna and Brian Hearn what their reaction to his apology video was, and they said they just kind of laughed and was like, he's an actor, it's all fake. If he was serious and he was like sincere, then he would have apologized when Jeanette's book came out, Jeanette McCurdy, because they say it was him, but she never said it was him. He never said it. Maybe he did to her privately. Like, who knows? But nobody's ever come out and said it was him. So he can't apologize for something that he doesn't even know if it is for sure him, because that would be placing guilt on himself.
Yeah.
That would be kind of stupid to do.
Until she names someone, no one should really come forward, because nobody knows if she's talking about them.
In his apology, though, he makes a very good point. He says that all the jokes were written for a kid audience that kids would think were funny. Then, now 20, 30 years later, adults are watching these shows and having issues. But then they're made for kids to be funny. And kids laughed at it. Kids liked it. They did test groups and everything. And some of the kids wrote the jokes. It wasn't all him. And Brian said without all...
because the kids are looking at it from an innocent perspective, and the adults are putting the sexual connotation on it. I can see that, where some things are kind of borderline.
What's interesting, though, Brian Hearn, who was on all that, one of the kids, said, without all those jokes, what would you have? You just have commercials. There'd be no TV show. So...
I mean, they would have jokes, but they just wouldn't be Amanda Bynes sucking toothpaste off of Drake's toes.
So, yeah. But they even addressed that.
I mean, that's weird.
The hostess said, did you think that they were funny? And Giovanna was like, no, that wasn't funny. And she's like, no, at the time, did you think it was funny jokes? And she's all, no, they weren't funny, like, whatever. She wasn't getting it. She was, like, avoiding the question, trying to, like, answer it as her present self, instead of answering it as her
12-year-old self.
Yes, exactly, during the time. And they just kept being like, well, we didn't understand what we were doing. Well, no, because you thought it was funny then. When you were 12, you're looking at now, like you said, through an adult mind, and it's not funny, and you didn't know what you were doing then because you didn't have an adult mind.
You have the innocence of that. There was no, it wasn't that, you didn't look at it in that manner.
So Brian was like, the foot stuff was like super crazy. He did adjust all that, but he said that during filming, everyone was laughing. All the kids, like, everybody was laughing. The adults, the kids, everybody. Like, it was, like, nothing.
Foot stuff, it's only weird because I know that people have foot fetishes. I didn't know that people had foot fetishes when I was 12.
Yeah.
I never would ever think about a foot like that back then. I mean, I don't even think about it like that. I just know that people do. So it's like, in that sense, it's weird.
So Giovanna and Brian, the two people that are being interviewed, they're both black. And they felt stereotyped, but Dan says that he was very diverse racially.
Oh.
Because he had a lot of, like, My Brother and Me, Cousin Skeeter. There was very racially diverse. Like, it wasn't just all white kids or
it wasn't
whatever.
Like they were the only two black kids on the entire network.
Nickelodeon set.
Yeah, like there was many.
For all that, they were the only two black kids.
Well, I mean, but
there's only like 8 kids total, so they're 20% of it.
I know, but you also have to think about, he's not just hiring actors, he has to hire people to run the lights. He has to hire people.
They said that there was no black people doing that. They said that they were the only black kids on set.
On set?
Like even they said that even like the cameraman, the wardrobe,
writers, like I don't know,
all
long
of it,
list
yeah.
of
all the like everybody was not. But we don't know. That's all. Like I don't know. I'm not going to go through every freaking name and go Google their faces.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked if Giovanna had spoken to Dan Sense, and she said that he reached out a week before the documentary aired, and he asked if she could give a quote of support because he didn't know that she was in the documentary at the time.
Wait, who is this for?
Dan Schneider.
No, I mean, what was the actress's?
Giovanna. She was the
all that Giovanna.
Girl,
okay, yeah.
But what's interesting is that remember how Dan Schneider decided to come back, one of the last shows that he did in 2016, 17, 18, whatever, was Henry Danger.
Oh, yeah.
She came back to do that with him.
Oh, she did?
Oh, yes. And she told him on the phone, no, that she would not do a quote of support because she's terrified of him.
But she willingly worked with him again. Years later.
In 2018.
Yeah, that would have been, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Brian,
I don't know if I would want to face my abuser.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And take a job if it was that, like, bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. There was a Shane Lyons that was on all that, and he started to get interviewed, and he said he wanted to be like Chris Farley, and that he thought this was a stepping stone to do that.
Okay, yeah.
And on the set, he was actually on the set with Brian Peck, and that Brian Peck was very like charming and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also, Brian Peck was cast as an adult who was a cast member. Like he was on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But he's an adult. He's 20 years older than these kids.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, cool, there's an adult that's like one of us. So
yeah.
He really put himself in. And he said that his reaction to like the whole Drake thing was like absolutely gut-wrenching for him.
Mm.
And Brad was like, fuck that. That's not gut-wrenching. That's horrific. Like, what the fuck? That's your reaction?
I'm a gut-wrenching and horrific.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
similar.
Brad's reaction was like, that's not that whatever. He didn't say horrific. He said something else.
I know,
like,
yeah.
Something was so like, Brad, the whole time Brad's just like, what the fuck? Through the whole like, he didn't even want to watch this. But he got so sucked in and he's just like, what the fuck is wrong with people?
Yeah.
So, what's his name? Shane Lyons also said that he was, he felt really lucky and blessed that it didn't happen to him. But there was definitely like, passes from Brian Peck looking back.
No.
That Brian asked him if he knew what blue balls were when they were alone in a green screen room set thing, and he's like 13 or 14 years old, and he's like, I don't know, like racquetballs or something. I don't know what they are.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
see, I think that is like a form of sexual abuse.
Yeah, and it makes like zero sense for them to be talking like that because he's like 40 years old and this kid is like, or he's like 35 and this kid's like 13.
Yeah, like before.
What are you doing?
Before, remember I said I don't know if that's considered like a lewd act or if it's illegal, but like that is sexual abuse. That is sexual. I don't know the correct
because
term
they're
for
alone together.
Yeah,
like,
no,
there's a lot of other things.
Or grooming, if anything. It's like get these ideas in their head and then you want to. You know, I don't know.
Look at my blue
you
balls?
Want to deceive them? Like, who knows? Yeah, exactly.
So, Shane Lyons said that they need to update the law so that no sexual offender can be like on set ever again. Right now, as long as a parent is there, parent or guardian, they don't even do background checks on people that are on set because there's a parent or guardian supposed to be there all the time. He said that all they do is shift all the blame, which is what we were saying.
Mm-hmm.
That they just keep shifting the blame. They don't. Yeah. They just pick a scapegoat.
Nobody's accountable.
Yep. And I just wanted to say that Shane is hoping for a real change, and that Emma Schwartz and Mary Robertson were the directors of Quiet on Set documentary, and they just really wanted to get all the truth out, and that was the whole point of the documentary.
Yeah.
And that is the very end of that documentary. So we're all done.
Wow, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
That is a lot to take in.
Yeah, it's 3 episodes of horrific child abuse that we were watching laughing at our entire childhood.
Yeah. but we didn't but again, we were looking at it through children's eyes, and we saw it differently. Like we said, we saw it differently than the way that an adult's going to watch it now.
Yes, we did. Definitely. Yep. So, okay.
Well, we should watch the music video now because I want to hear the song.
Yes.
I mean, we can't do it obviously on camera because of copyright.
But yeah, we're going to have to go do that. So go look at Drake's new song.
And I am going to try to find the Hilary Duff POV when she gave us Nothing But Everything.
Yes.
Because it's just cute.
I want to see it. I haven't seen that. So,
yeah.
I think that's it, right? We're all done. I'm trying to think. My mouth is like hurting for like reading all that and like talking.
I know, you're talking a lot. It's good.
So, okay, well, thank you guys so much for listening, and
don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and let us know what you think about this whole documentary series, and if you watched it
as well.
Yes.
Email us at conspiraciesunlocked@gmail.com. Bye.